Shalom and welcome to Questions and Answers with RabbiEricT. One of the most often asked questions that I receive is about hell. Yep, I said it. That word, H-E double hockey sticks. What is it about? What's it talking about? How do we deal with that? Is it biblical? Is it something we should be concerned about? Is hell eternal? Is it temporal? What is involved with hell? And so I want to answer that question today in a way that's going to make absolutely nobody happy. So let me go ahead and read just a verse from Scripture, and then we'll talk about hell for just a little bit. In Acts chapter 2, as Peter is sharing this message on the day of Shavuot, and by the way, Shavuot is just a couple of days from today on the calendar, it says, "Brothers, I can confidently tell you that the patriarch David died and was buried. His tomb was with us to this day, is with us to this day. So because he was a prophet and knew God had sworn with an oath to him to seat one of his descendants on the throne, David saw beforehand and spoke of Messiah's resurrection, that he was not abandoned to Sheol, and his body did not see decay." Now, the first thing I want to tell you is that the word that's translated hell in English Bibles can come from either the word Gehenna in the Hebrew or Sheol in the Hebrew, or it can be Hades, which is an entirely different word. And one of the problems with English translations, or for that matter any translation, is quite often a word is translated in different ways from the same word. For instance, in the New Testament, the word Lord is translated from the Greek word kurios, which means Lord, Master, or Sir. And depending on how the context is used, lets us know which particular meaning of that word is. So somebody could be saying Lord as in the Lord our God, or they could be saying Lord as in my boss or my master, or they can be saying Lord as in, hey sir, would you get me some water? Like the woman at the well, who clearly had no clue who Yeshua was, and yet called him by that same word in the Greek that is translated Lord. So sometimes when people read that, they make an assumption that she recognized his deity, when in the truth she just said, Mister, would you get me some water? When we talk about hell, we have to understand that in our English Bible, the word hell is used many times, but there's different words that mean that. Gehenna is a word that describes a place of continually burning. It's a garbage dump outside of Jerusalem where there was fire burning continually, totally destroying all the time, going on. And that is the description of Gehenna, or hell, an eternal place of punishment. There's also the word Sheol, which is basically equivalent to the word Hades, or which is just a place of death. And that could simply mean the grave, somewhere where your body is remaining. And it doesn't necessarily mean a place of eternal torment. As a matter of fact, in Revelation it says that death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. So it can't be the same thing, because you can't cast the same thing into the same thing. So it's important for us to understand that. The most important thing to understand about hell is that it's a place of separation from God. And regardless of how horrible the torment of hell might be, the biggest torment is separation from God. It is not the punishment of fire or flame or all of those things. It's the fact that for eternity, you will be separated from God. Now, there are those that believe that when somebody dies who's lost, they're just dead and that's the end of it. There's others who believe in an eternal place of punishment. The Scripture clearly gives us a picture of an eternal place of punishment, and it's important for us to understand that. Now, throughout the Scripture, we see interaction. For instance, it says he was not abandoned to Sheol. All that meant was that he wasn't just left dead, but he resurrected. And resurrection is a Jewish concept. It's a biblical concept. We shall be resurrected, and then we will stand in judgment. And those that stand before Adonai will either be found righteous or unrighteous, and those that are righteous will spend eternity with God. Those that are unrighteous will depart from him and will go to ultimately the place called the lake of fire. So it's important for us to understand these different words, these different concepts, their different meanings. Next week, I'm going to answer the question, did Yeshua go to hell and preach to spirits there? And what happened with that whole question? So tune back in next week as we continue to talk about hell. And please, don't tell your mom I said that. Thank you. I hope that you'll subscribe to these videos, send emails to RabbiEricT@bridom.org so that I can answer your questions in an upcoming video. And please hit the share button on this so that other people can hear the answers to these questions. Thank you so much. God bless and shalom.